Hi there, the name's Nico, and today we'll be going over patch 0.55. I just want to highlight some of the changes that have happened this patch. I have my handy dandy notepad, but that's my amazing tool that I'll be writing down my thoughts on each thing that happened in the patch. So yeah, let's just get started right into it. So here we have Elena, who's our newest character. You can see her base stats. Overall, her base stats seem like pretty decent. She does seem to be a bit more on the squishier end in terms of her like base defense. Like these are seem like average HP scaling. AP seems like pretty normal. It just seems like they want her to be and like a little bit less mobile compared to average melee. Like most melees are like 3.55. So she's a little bit slower than that, but yeah. First, we'll look at her passive. When Elena performs a basic attack or skill, she constructs a glacial field, applying chill to enemies in it. Chilled enemies are slowed by 30%, their attack speed is reduced by 30%. When an enemy's chill gauge is full, they become frozen. Frozen enemies are stunned for up to 1.5 seconds. While frozen, the next instance of damage dealt to them by Elena or one of her allies will deal 20 to 75 plus 50% attack power, additional skill damage, breaking them out of frozen state, reducing their attack speed by 30%. When Elena attacks an enemy, Crystal Elegance cooldown is reduced by 80%. Enemies cannot be chilled for 4.5 seconds after breaking out of frozen status. Glacial field range 1.5 meters. Glacial field duration 5 seconds. Cooldowns from 8 to 6 seconds. But remember, it says the cooldown can be reduced of her Q. So this is what it looks like here. From this, I'm wondering, because this is additional skill damage, I wonder if you can actually apply extra skill damage to it. Like how Leon's passive used to be, where if you were on his puddles, it actually apply extra skill damage. So you just stack a bunch of flat amp on them. I wonder if people do the same thing. I don't know exactly how it worked because it says by one of her allies. So if her allies have extra skill damage, will do that. I don't know exactly what it means by that. So, or if people are just gonna do AP, because it says when she attacks an enemy. It actually doesn't say if it's with a skill or with a like auto attack. But we'll look at the rest of her kit so I can give you a like good idea what I think she'll be. But I honestly could be completely wrong because everyone thought Leon was gonna be EBAD character, but he ended up being a flat amp just because this way that they worded it in the description made it seem like he was EBAD, not flat amp. But anyways, flat amp, extra skill damage. Sorry, I use the terms interchangeably. Crystal Elegance, or Q. Elena forms an icicle in the targeted direction, dealing 40 to 60 plus 20% attack power. Add skill damage to enemies and apply 10 chill. After a short duration, the icicle bursts, dealing 36 to 100 plus 35 attack power, skill damage, applying 20 chill and decreasing the cooldown of Winter Queen's Domination by 50%. Range 3.5 meters. SP 60-80, cooldowns 8 to 4. So and her AP ratios are pretty bad, just to be honest. So you're not going to be wanting to stack AP on her. Like, this is 20 and 35. This one here is 50, so that's like the highest, which 50 is like what you want, like the minimum really to be if you want to stack AP, but we'll keep going. Double Axle. Elena performs a jump in the targeted direction, dealing 30 to 150 plus 35% attack powers as skill damage to enemies in her way and applying 10 chill. Reduces the cooldown of Crystal Elegance by 40% and increases her defense by 50%. Elena can hold up to 2 charges of Double Axle. Casting a skill within a glacial field increases her range and enables Elena to jump over walls. It's interesting they gave her a wall jump as well. When damaged by an enemy during Double Axle, Elena also creates Glacial Field under the enemy. Crystal Elegance and Spiral can be cast to instantly cancel Double Axle, reducing the cooldown of the skill used to cancel Double Axle by 40%. So, you know, Crystal Elegance is her Q, and Glacial Field is her pass. No. Glacial Field is the passive effect. It's not the actual name of the passive. Yeah, range 2.5 meters, which is actually kind of insane dash range that she can have 2 charges of, so it's 5 meters total if you use back to back. But if you're within a glacial field, Well, or if you're in spiral, the dash is actually 5 meters, which that's also you can have up to 10 meters of dash just on the W. It's not even counting the E, which we'll look at next. SP 6120 and cooldown 16 to 12. Again, so far it seems like maybe this will be a spellcaster. Her like, the thing is, her Q doesn't have high base value, so I want to look at extra skill damage as a priority over percentage amp, but which means you don't do Red Panther on her. Maybe she's actually gonna be like an auto attacker instead, just because her damage, her spells don't seem to do that much damage. So her E spiral, Elena skates in the target direction, dealing 30 to 110 plus 80% attack power as skill damage, enemies in her way, and applying 40 chill. Chill given from spiral applies only once, does not stack. Elena can adjust her direction while skating and creates a narrow path that applies chill. Double axle can also be used while skating, increasing its range and enabling Elena to jump over walls, which they already mentioned earlier. The duration of spiral is increased by 0.5 seconds after she finishes performing double axle. Okay. Movement 10 meters, SP 100, so it's not even gets changed. And the cooldown goes from 30 to 18. If you don't know, 30, this is the longest mobility spell cooldown in the game. Just like right off the bat. The highest, I don't know if it still is, but it used to be 24 seconds at level 1. I believe that is either Aya's E or Adriana's E. I may have been changed since then. I think Adriana's might be 20 seconds now. I'll have to double check after or later. You can just let me know. But 30 seconds is kind of insane for mobility in general. Like, they seem to want her to keep her mobile, and they realize, oh, she's gonna be really mobile, so we're gonna put a long cooldown on it. But then you have characters like Adela who don't have like this cooldown restriction and are probably just as mobile as she is. So, oh yeah, and just their damage again. This one is the highest AP, 80%. But again, 110 is kind of on the low end for base values. So, and we'll look at the last one. So, okay, this might be my downfall of pronunciations. I'm sorry, but it looks like Nance Macabre. I'm really sorry. I probably pronounced that wrong in so many different ways. Elena lays down a giant spreading glacial field, dealing 100 to 300 plus 100 AP skill damage. Enemies in contact. Enemies in the middle are instantly frozen inside a giant glacial, receiving 75 to 225 plus 20% attack power and skill damage. So, and then center range is 3 meters, glacial field range 5 meters. It costs 150 just flat. Cooldown 95 to 75. This is also on like a somewhat high end for cooldowns now, considering all the nerfs or like buffs they've given to other characters' ultimates. So maybe you're gonna actually want to auto attack more than I'm wondering. So Elena, I'll just do my thoughts here. Seems mobile at first, but gated by long cooldowns. Maybe build CDR, low base values, and generally like low AP values. Extra skill damage seems the way to go. Maybe an auto attacker as well. I could be underestimating it. Or a Meteor Claymore user. That would probably be the best bet. What I mean, Meteor Claymore is every like 3 seconds or so, it gives a guaranteed crit. And that's probably the way she'll want to transition to. Because I think she'll want to just auto attack every once in a while, and you just want her to hit like a truck when you do. So I could see that as well. But I think, yeah, as I said, she looks like her kit looks really mobile. Like 20 meters is insane, but the cooldowns are extremely long between them, and so I don't think she'll be as mobile as people think she is. Plus, her base movement speed is lower than the average melee, So keep that in mind as well. So she's not going to be as quick as I think people are thinking, just based off the numbers. Again, I could be wrong on this, and maybe she's gonna be extremely ratty, and people are gonna max E first, maybe, just so they can be like mobile. They just want to play like a rat based character. For damage, like the frozen thing seems like really good if you can like. It seems like you'll guarantee to stun them eventually. So it could also just be that she's gonna be crit, like I said, maybe auto attack focused instead. Skill order right now, like the damage increase on our Q is not that significant. Okay, maybe like this part is more, but doesn't seem that significant overall. I honestly am not sure on what skill order should they do for her right now. I'd have to talk to more people really just to get what their thoughts are on it, because maybe you'd actually do want her E first if you're gonna do like a crit base build. So yeah, it's just Elena right now, just like my general thoughts. Yeah, we have Skin, Chloe, Ekion. Honestly, Ekion is pretty cool, and of course like Chloe's skin's like cool. I'm sure a lot of people will get that. Kathy skin emo, it's cool. The more details for Lumia Island, they showed this in the season 5 dev stream, which I reacted to actually, and I have it on the channel, which you can go check out after this if you are interested. But yeah, here's like the changes that they're doing, making it a little bit more detailed. Seems fine as long as the game's still works, or like what I mean works is doesn't lag or whatever, it's fine. While animal and objective improvements, some skills and items made it too efficient to kill certain objectives. Alpha Omega Wickeline will now have a passive overwhelming presence. Percentage HP damage dealt to these objectives will be reduced as followed. Alpha 30% less damage, Omega 40%, and Wickeline 50%. So currently, after they remove Smolder, I was trying to figure out what exactly does like percentage HP base damage. And the only character I could really think of is Barbara, because her E, like her Cyclone, it is like based off max HP. Yeah, and so she's able to clear Wickline quite quickly just because of that. But I don't know who else in the game has percentage HP damage. I'm probably just slipping my mind, but yeah, I know it's gonna affect Barbara, this change. And yeah, okay. Next change is more wild animals. This is just so people can, I guess, farm more. The only thing that they're doing, actually, I've noticed, is they're only adding bats, boars, and dogs. Okay, actually, they're adding some wolves, too. But they are not adding any bears, just the note. And it's not really they're adding much wolves anyway. It looks like it's just... It looks like they're just adding wolves to Avenue. Yeah, because there's no rare, like, when I say like rare animal, I mean animals that can drop rare resources. Those are wolves and bears. Avenue never had one of those rare animals. Chapel is also one of the zones that doesn't have that rare animal in it. But they aren't adding one to Chapel. Let's see, hotel, dock, school, pond, temple. I know this is a little bit blocking, sorry. But that's what I'm trying to scroll up a little bit. But yeah, they didn't do any changes to Chapel animals at all. So they are adding it to Avenue, just so you can, I guess, farm more rare resources. Most of them are just bats, boars, and dogs, though. Interesting change. So this will technically be a buff to Nadine. Nadine hasn't... I don't know. Nadine hasn't seen, or seems to not have been doing well at NA. We have, I think the top player at NA is a Nadine main right now. I think Homecoming became #1 NA. And so it's hard to say if Nadine, if he's, I don't know, just pilot capping everyone, or if Nadine's like actually strong. Her stats don't look that good when I last checked, so this will be the buff. This will be a buff for Nadine for sure, though. I'll just say, animal changes. I haven't been using this, sorry. I'll make, Wick, Omega, Alpha, nerfs, to Barbara. Animal changes. This is indirect buff to Nadine, and like mostly Nadine. It'll buff everyone, but what they're also doing in compensation of adding more animals is they are nerfing the amount of XP or of mastery you gain from killing animals, except for bears. Bears will be more rewarding to kill, so you should be timing your bear farmings more as well. I also don't know what this means by the first wolf respawn now has a lower chance of spawning at level 3. I know what this means, because I thought all wolves will respawn at like the higher level. Was it possible to respawn wolves at level 3? I don't understand. Wolves now have a slightly less chance to drop heated stone, because a lot of people were making steak and such, so I guess they wanted to nerf that a bit, but they didn't drop the rates for heated oil, so they're just gonna make fried chicken instead, so whatever. Crafting with items from box improvements. Direct crafting with materials in boxes helped beginners with inventory management, but also made it easier for experienced players to accidentally craft the wrong item. To remedy this, crafting priority will be adjusted, and a separate UI bar to display the quick crafting from box has been added. Items craftable from a box will be displayed in a separate row above your save plan. So, as you can see here, there's 2 rows. You can make that's your row right here, like what's on your inventory, and then the bar above is what you can make with items in the box. So it's saying you can make this helmet, but you don't actually want the helmet. So yeah, it looks like they are doing like a spellcaster build for Elena here as well, just to point that out. And they're going to prioritize based off of what's on your plan, which is like ideal pretty much. Quick craft from box keybind has been added. By default, it'll be unassigned, but can be customized in settings. Known issue: crafting hotkey may be changed while the auto loop functions on. Working on fix this bug, but won't be implemented this patch. I honestly didn't know this was a bug, but I'm hoping this doesn't happen to me. That's all I can say. But yeah, I'll just say the changes to quick crafting from box seem good overall. Honestly, it seems like a good change. Well done. Character select and loadout improvements. So these are just quality of life changes. So I'm just gonna call this character select. So we have a random button, which I'm actually quite happy. Like sometimes like, oh, I don't know who to play. Now there's just random. It'll give me whoever. You can now search by name and sort by most played character. You can see like here you can do. It's gonna be ordered by name, assuming like first, but you can also order it by most played. Hide default slots function have been added to augment select, which is again good. Pressing the augment button now auto scrolls to your current selected augment. Item and save plan will now always be sorted in order from weapon chest setting. I thought that was already a thing, but I guess not. And the default save plan item in the loadout menu will now prefer your set language when displaying save plans. That'll be a little bit interesting to see. I don't know how they're gonna implement that. And thing is, like, I have a bunch of plans in like Korean. Maybe I'm misunderstanding this. So what, are they gonna prioritize like the English save plans than the Korean ones? I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna say overall seems like a good change as well. Again, it's just quality of life. Like, it's not gonna affect the game at all. Revive improvements. Revive area is now displayed when auto revived, and you can now manage your inventory while downed. Again, these are just quality of life. It seems fine. Other improvements: a slight buff to HP while resting. I was actually thinking about asking this, and okay, but this seems fine. So, and the flower bed in alley now blocks vision. I honestly thought that was that already was a thing, but I guess it was not, and I just didn't realize. But this is a good change as well. I approve. So augments. I'll title this here. So reinforced armor being nerfed is kind of a little bit of a throw for me. I thought it needed to be nerfed like a while ago, but the change they did where it doesn't stack, like if you have Amazonas and Banneret, it doesn't get the same amount of damage reduction from it. I thought that solved a lot of the issues. That's why like Sylvia wasn't doing like the double stacking and would just do Burgonet instead. So I was just a little bit surprised that they're nerfing it. But I guess it's minor. Maybe this is more for team modes than, because I'm doing like some research for augments. I'll foreshadow you guys, people who are still watching, at the, I don't know what it's gonna be when I edit it down a little bit, but right now it's like 21 minutes of filming. If you're still watching now, I am working on an augments video and doing research for augments. There's not many people in solos running this augment. It's just not worth it. So it'd make more sense for duos and squads. But whatever. Amp drone. Everyone's been asking for amp drone nerfs. This was not a surprise, and it has been nerfed. How much of an impact will this have? This will have minimal impact, in my opinion. It's 2% off of your skill amp. If you live with like 100 HP or less, and they used amp drone on you, you could say, oh, amp drone nerfs actually helped me live. But I am pretty sure most of the people that use amp drone do 150% of your health bar. So I don't think it's gonna matter. Yeah, it's not gonna change anything. Character prices. Hey, if you want to buy any of these characters, they are now cheaper. You can see everyone. Isil's like getting 2,000. He's getting down to the 620 mark. So yeah, you better get them. They're like they're getting lower. Yeah, okay, so first up, Nadine. Okay, this is a minor change. I'm not gonna really implement it here or show it on here. They've been doing these changes for a while. They're working on making sure the hitbox for the spells are actually in front of the model instead of like in the model. So if you're standing on top of someone, it doesn't actually hit the target. So yeah, they also expect the animal change for needing the buffer, so they're not gonna do it. So Nikki, okay, this is a little surprising for me because I didn't think Nikki was that strong, but she got nerfed quite hard. So her Q Slugfest has lost 50% of its AP scaling, and her cooldown for her parry has gone up by 2 seconds at max level. And this is kind of like really, I don't know, surprising to me, because if Nikki misses her parry, it's like still a thing. If Nikki misses her parry, she's dies. So whenever I play against Nikki, I'm not like, oh, Nikki's OP. It's more like, oh, I hit her when she parried me, or when she had her parry up, and I died because of it. But if I just stopped attacking her when she had her parry up, she would have died. That's my reaction when I fight Nikki. It's not like, oh, this character just one-shot me, I had no counterplay. It's a little bit, I understand more for like team modes, but again, I don't know, I think they should, if they want to do stuff for team modes, they should do separate team mode adjustments. So, not 100% sure why she was nerfed so hard. I didn't think Nikki needed to be nerfed that hard, to be honest, so a little surprised. Tia, okay, Tia, I haven't given my thoughts. I did my tier list video when Tia, like the patch for Tia came out, and let me tell you, my thoughts on Tia now is that she's bottom 3. Okay, she is absolute trash. If you are a melee character, the strategy to beat Tia is just stand on top of her, literally, just walk up to her, just stand right beside her, just smack her. She can't do anything. And like the character, I don't know, Lennox again for me, which I'm thinking of transitioning off Lennox this season because of all the changes they've done to Lennox, but that's a different thing. Lennox versus Tia is actually a little bit interesting because the way that you want to play Lennox is the same, or like the range you want to play Lennox on is like the same range Tia wants to play on, and so it's a bit annoying in that fact, but you can probably 1 or 2 rotation her, so it's not the end of the world, but it is a bit more annoying because you both play the same range. It's just that Tia sucks, bottom 3, and these changes aren't good, so she needs a lot more changes, but I know she is annoying to play against, so I understand why she is not being buffed. So yeah, she needs a lot more. You can't do anything with Tia right now. This is nothing. Laura, again, I honestly thought Laura was like average. I thought maybe like, yeah, I never thought she was anything above average. I thought she was just like average, A tier. I put her B plus tier, like around that range. It seems fine for Laura, but they seems like she's more of an issue than I've seen her. So her passive is getting hit quite hard, losing 5 to 15 damage per level, and also 5% AP. But they are removing the delay on her Q a little bit and buffing her ultimate by a lot. Her ultimate is getting, at level 16, is getting almost double the amount of base value, which is quite insane. So they're trying to do, okay, right now how Laura plays is that she is currently she's an early game character. Okay, so currently Laura hits her power spike in the early game and scales after killing people in hotel. So she's like the new Lennox now, because they've nerfed Lennox's early game so much that Lennox can't fight her for early game anymore. So Laura is just the new whip character that fights for early game objectives. Okay, but what they're trying to do is change Laura to not be as strong in the early game, but strong in the late game. This may seem like a good change. I'm hoping they aren't gonna do Laura dirty like they've done Lennox. Just the reason why you haven't seen Lennox anymore is because the nerfs have finally caught up to Lennox, and the best strategy for Lennox is to just kind of farm animals until the late game, and then just dominate the late game, because Lennox's early game's been gutted. So she's like Sylvia 0.5. What I mean, a downgrade of Sylvia is because she has no ability. If Lennox gets caught out, she's dead. Sylvia will just bike out. She is an issue. So, yeah. I'm hoping that's what they're not gonna do with Laura. That's all. Magnus. They're trying to differentiate Magnus between Hammer and Bat, which I think is a good thing. So what they're trying to do is make Hammer... They're trying to make Hammer an amp playstyle while making Bat an auto attack playstyle. Oh, I put it like this. Whatever. So they're trying to do like, oh, if you want to play Magnus as an amp character, pick Hammer, but if you want to play Magnus as an auto attacker, like play with like Mallet as an example, then you want to pick Bat instead of like it being the same thing. So that's kind of honestly like it seems like a good change, just because it creates diversity between the weapon types, because currently weapon types are generally diversified by like, oh, which one has the better weapon skill, which one has the better weapon choices for what type of damage I want to do. Like with Hedgen right now, you pick Bow because Bow has really good auto attacks, but the Bow also does a lot of damage for amp, and there's a lot of good weapon choices for Bow, especially late game weapons where you can choose like Argiotoxis as an example and do a lot of damage just with that. So they're trying to differentiate for different weapons. I'm glad that's going for Magnus, and Magnus being toned down a little bit, which I honestly is fine. I said Magnus is like above average, so this is like a minor nerf. 40 damage, which you generally max Q first on. I think you max Q. Okay, in team modes you do W, so maybe it's like Q for solos. So that honestly seems like a perfectly fine change for me. I agree with the change. Seems good. Okay, so Bianca, the Vampire Queen's reign has been terrorizing team mode meta. I do agree with this. Okay, I'll rate the change and I'll just do my thoughts after. Fix to the Sanctuary W via recoding the skill. It'll work for real this time, trust. Okay, I think I mentioned it in my tier list video. They said they fixed it, and I heard other people say they didn't fix it, and it turns out they didn't actually fix it. So, you see, they said they're gonna fix it this time. Hopefully it is fixed. But her E circulation is being nerfed in its attack power scaling. Yeah, it's just the AP that's going down. Everything else is the same. So at like minimum damage, it's going down by 20%, while maximum damage is going down by 40% AP. And Reign of the Vampire Queen is also just losing AP. It's going down by 10% AP at the minimum damage, and maximum is going down by 20%. So, like, I did honestly think Bianca was getting like pretty strong in solos. I don't know. Because I started to see a lot of people in KR just like looking at the meta, a lot of more Bianca players doing well, and I was like, okay, it seems like Bianca's also doing strong in solos, team modes, as they said. But the only thing I have to say is, why are they balancing or maybe explaining a character being strong in team modes when they should just nerf the team modes damage? Like, they have stats to nerf the amount of damage characters do in team modes. I'm not saying this isn't needed for Bianca, because I think Bianca was already like above average. It seems like, I don't know where I put Bianca in the tier list before, but now it seems like Bianca's actually doing quite well. So it seems I'm fine with it in team modes, but in general, why is the reasoning for her nerfs that it's because of her dominance in team modes meta when they have team modes balancing? It just seems like a weird explanation for me, that's all. Celine, if you watched the ER Masters, you would have seen what happened with Celine. If you didn't, I don't know. I was also curious if you guys would be interested in me reacting to like tournaments or explaining tournament plays, or I don't know, and just in the future you can let me know down below if that'd be something of interest to you. But Celine getting nerfed for base values by 20 all across the board. So like this is fine. I said Celine is like in my opinion, Celine is the hardest character to learn. You would have heard the tier list video. But she was doing a lot of damage for people who knew the player. Sorry if I change this, Shoichi. Now if you didn't know, Shoichi is honestly top 5 right now. Ironically. Is just the amount of damage he can do because of his passive was quite a lot, and so what they did is they just nerfed his passive. This is honestly like a great change for this patch, and probably the best change of this patch. Unfortunately, I'll explain my overall thoughts on the patch at the end of the patch notes. So this is a great change. Hopefully this will prevent Shoichi from just one rotation thing people on a non-amp build, I guess. Like, or like without ult. I don't know. My general sense is that if you need ult to like kill someone, or like you should use your ult to kill someone. If you don't need your ult to kill someone, I don't know. Unless like they're, I don't know, maybe that's too nuanced because that doesn't use like auto attackers, so I don't know. But anyways, just a great change. Shoichi, they also gave him more SP, which I honestly is completely understandable. Just because Shoichi uses a lot of SP for his spells, it costs a lot to use, so it makes sense. So yeah, Sua. If you saw the last patch, Sua got nerfed a lot. Her base values got, her scaling values got gutted, and she hurt a lot. And so we don't want Sua to be back up into S tier or top tier. So they are increasing her base damage by only 15. Well, level 1's a little bit lower, but max level is 15. They level up Q first, so that's why I'm saying 15. And same with her memory, our Q 15. I'm glad that they aren't like over buffing her and just doing like some small changes to see how she reacts to this change, because I don't want her to be OP again. Okay, Adriana is getting, honestly, I think this is a good change overall. Just like more damage. She kind of was lacking overall, just because she didn't have enough damage to generally kill people before she died, just because of how Adriana is, that you generally build a bit squishier to kind of keep up your damage. But they did change how Adriana works. If you don't remember from the last patch, what they did was give Adriana AP scaling instead of attack speed scaling, so she'll have a lot more AP in the late game compared to the early game. And so they are touching her base values only by 1 per tick, but it will add up because it's on like a pretty short cooldown. And her ult is actually getting changed by 2 seconds per thing, which is also like, that will be a lot more noticeable, I think, than the flamethrower. But I think these are like good starting things. I don't know if this will be enough, but I think it's a good start. Yeah, but it already seemed like Adriana was doing if you watch the ER Masters, the Adriana player in that was doing extremely well. Very good at kiting people. I don't know, it could have just been a pilot gap. I don't know. I was saying Adriana's like super weak, and the person did like really well. And seems to do like really good space signal. ISIL, again, ISIL is on like the weaker end as well. And so they're gonna buff his damage only slightly again. They don't want to like really like over buff someone. Honestly, again, it's, like, seems fine. We'll have to see if this is enough, and he might need another buff next patch. I don't know. But ISIL is kind of falling flat. Alex is doing really well right now, so they are in fact nerfing him. Makes sense. His range W, they're just nerfing that down. I don't remember, or I'm not 100% familiar with the full Alex combo, and so I don't exactly remember when you use W in Alex's combo. I'm more familiar with the melee Q, then do E, then R, then shuriken skill, and then just start auto attacking them with the shuriken skill. Maybe they also do a range W in there as well. So again, I don't have anything in plan. This is a good change. Yawn, a little bit ironic for me is that Yawn was actually buffed last patch because they're like, oh, he's not doing that well. Then again, I put a lot of my thoughts on the whole meta in the tier list video, so I do recommend you just check that out for my overall thoughts on like every single character in the game, every single weapon type. But I said everyone was on Leon syndrome, that it didn't seem like Yawn was doing that bad, and I was right. Everyone was in fact on Leon syndrome, and they have moved on to Yawn. So Yawn is being nerfed. Who would have guessed? I already predicted it was going to happen. So he's getting nerfed based off his healing because of, really, it's a healing factor. They're trying to nerf the characters, I guess, instead of healing factor, but it didn't look like they really touched Jackie. I don't know, maybe I think they touched on weapons that she uses, but I don't think they actually touched Jackie's herself. But I'll give more thoughts on that. So not surprised is my overall thoughts on it. Aiden's not doing that well right now, to be honest. Okay, the wording from this, I thought it was a nerf, but I've been told it's actually a buff. It's a minor buff. Again, they don't want to make him. They want to make sure that he doesn't become too overpowered. So I'm gonna say it's a fine change. Ekion was considered bottom tier in my opinion, and so they are doing some more like buffs for him overall. His E is getting less damage at level 1, but more damage level 2, so less damage by 10, then more damage by 10. So, and his R is actually going to have different damage ticks, so instead of 1 second tick of damage, it's every 0.5 seconds. So this may seem like, oh, they're actually nerfing, or you may think that this is a nerf, but it's actually a buff because you have to think of this happening twice. Well, this was only happening once. So now you're gonna get 36 plus 5% AP versus versus 25 plus 10% AP. So this is gonna be better. Ironically, this is gonna be better for tank, which is what they're trying to do, like prevent. But they technically buff tank. What they should do is nerf this by a lot more and increase the AP value instead to like match. If you don't want it to be like more tank based, but this will buff tank just as well as non-tank. And the duration will be slightly less though than before. I don't know the exact damage math difference between the two, like, because you got to think of this being half a second ticks versus the full second ticks, but the old one lasted 2 seconds longer, so and this has a shorter slow. So again, Ezekio was seemed to be on a bit weaker side. It may just be that people aren't playing him now, so I think he might actually be fine with these changes. Or like closer to being balanced with these changes. I expect people to see more use of him. I'm hoping again that this change here, specifically with his, oh, you can't really see my mouse. The changes with the damage to his R is, or like, will make him stack tank. That's all. Okay, next up, Yuki. Yuki's being nerfed in his defense. This relates to 2H Yuki, building tank items and doing damage with his Q and R while you can't do anything to him. So they're just trying to reduce that a bit. It's mainly two-handed Yuki's fault, but dual swords is actually doing quite well as well. So it's just a nerf to him overall. 11 was also a character I said was S tier, and she did receive some nerfs to her sustain, which is, honestly, this is a great change because the problem with 11 was, in fact, her sustain. She does do a lot of damage as well, and maybe they'll have to look into that, but the sustain part is especially more noticeable in team modes, which is why they say all 3 modes. 11's been a problem child in duos and squads since her release, pretty much. Maybe not the first patch, but definitely since the second patch and beyond. And so making her not as tanky is a good change, and hopefully this will help her for all modes. Again, I said, or why are they changing character in solos when they have team mode adjustments? It's because, so this is for specifically 11. They cannot fix 11 in team modes without adjusting her in solos. It's impossible just because of her kit. And so this is the best thing. This is honestly, I'm really happy with this change. I'm hoping it'll be enough to put her down in line, but I don't know if she might have too much damage and too much escape still, so we'll have to see. Here's being changed so that people will want to play throw instead, so they're getting slightly more amp. They don't want to overtune them too much because here actually does a lot of damage already. It's just that shuriken skill works a lot better, and then throw for your combo, just that it has more damage, right? And your weapon options are honestly better for what Zahir wants with shuriken than they are throw. Like, Zahir generally wants the extra skill damage because he's throwing out a lot of skills, and like the skills don't do a lot of damage themselves. So they have to like keep a fine line though, because if they overbuff them in the throw, everyone's just gonna go to the throw. And yeah, they are buffing his passive. It says they're shifting some power from alt to his passive, so they are buffing passive and nerfing his ultimate. A lot of times Zahir misses the after part of his ultimate anyways. Like, people generally only care about the burst damage, and all they did was the early game nerfs. They didn't buff his late game. The damage afterwards they've nerfed, but I think this is less significant, the passive change. So I think Zahir over a 1 on this patch. Again, I could be wrong. A lot of times I see that Zahir doesn't actually land anything after the initial hit, or maybe they hit the first and second hit, but they don't hit like the third, fourth, or fifth one. So it seems like a good change, but they gotta remember that Zahir was like really strong before, and so that hopefully, and they have to got him during, or not got him, they have to nerf him a lot, even during hotfixes last season, just because of how strong. So he is on. I'd keep an eye on Zahir. Like, I put him on watch to make sure that he's not too strong after these changes, because even though this is only 5 AP, and the throw also only got buffed by 0.2, it will add up over time. This is technically at level 20 mastery is 0.2. Well, 0.2, that'd be 4% increase, so it's like not too much. But yeah. Okay, so Jackie, oh yeah, Jackie's axe Omni Siphon got nerfed. So axe and dual swords are the two big problems right now. So they did nerf Axe slightly. Will this be enough for Axe to not be as strong? No, I don't think it will be. But they are okay, fine. They recognize Jackie, specifically Axe and dual swords are a problem, but the nerfs they received aren't going to change anything. IMO. 0.1% Omni-Siphon is not gonna be too much of a change, in my opinion. I could be wrong, and maybe 0.1 makes the huge difference. 0.1, by the way, at level 20 would be 2% off. 2% off. Like, it loses 2%. So, it's not much. And you're not gonna really hit level 20, so it's not even like that much of a difference. Jenny, if you didn't read the minor hotfix, which I don't blame you, Jenny got absolutely gutted in it. They nerfed her damage a lot, and I'm really against the fact that they did it in the middle of a big tournament they were hosting as well. Like, there was like a Nimble Neuron tournament, and they literally got Jenny. So the people that main Jenny for the first round and got into the finals, they didn't even play Jenny just because of how much they nerfed her. You could have said maybe as a bit of an overreaction, but it did not look like it. She got gutted, so they're gonna rebuff her. I did agree that Jenny needed some nerfs, but they killed her over the top. I don't think this. Okay, I could be underestimating how much people thought how much nerf she was before. I understand why they gave her a minor buff. We'll have to see how she is. Okay, we'll have to see. Camillo lost 2 AP. Camillo's also like, I only put him at A+ tier, but it turns out I was wrong with him, and he's actually like S tier. He's really strong right now. Just I wasn't seeing the full stats with him, and so he is only losing 2 AP, which does matter more than a lot of the other characters because Camillo is an auto attacker. So for auto attacks, your AP is like 100% conversion. I mean, you have like defense stats, so it's not like exactly the same, and you have other amplifiers. It's a little, you can look up the formula for it, but 2 AP will matter more, and he's also dual sword, so he double hits, so it matters more than most characters, but won't change anything. He's only losing AT, but won't change anything. He's still gonna be super strong. They see Divine's dual swords below. I'll just mention it here. They only nerfed Divine dual swords by 2 AP as well, so he is losing. And if he switches to Star Steels or Spring and Autumn, he will. It doesn't matter about the Divine dual swords anyway. So I don't think this is gonna do much, but it will do more than for most characters. Felix. In the hotfix, they got Amp Felix. Amp Felix is no longer playable, unfortunately. I expected them to fix the hotfix with his Q3 doing more extra skill damage, but I did not expect them to remove the skill reset after ulting. If they didn't remove that part, I think Amp Felix would have been fine. I wouldn't have said it's probably like equally as strong as auto attack, but since they removed that, it's no longer viable. So this is more catering, and so all the changes now will just be related to auto attack Felix, and these changes are honestly really good, and I think this will put him up more. Yeah, I think these changes will help him a lot, but I don't know if it'll be enough to like put him up, because they only buffed the AP for second hit by 5% AP. It might need to be by even up to 10% more AP, up to 60 at max level for his passive. Because I'm thinking how Dylan's passive is, and his passive is worse, but I understand that the Spear generally is supposed to have higher AP, but because of the changes they did to weapons, they nerfed the AP differences really on the weapons by a lot, so it isn't as much noticeable, especially if you're comparing like Lily Dylan's passive from Nunchuck to Spear. If you compare Cerberus, which I know Cerberus gets nerfed, which I'll look up, but I'll say he might need more of a passive buff than just 5% AP. I think I might need to go up to 60 at max level. I could be wrong, and maybe 60 is too much and 50 is completely fine, but I think right now it seems like 50 is a little bit too low. But I definitely agree the Q and E changes for the delay are like a lot better. Okay, weapons. VF weapons. Basically, they buffed VF skill. Great, and seems fine. Again, Defense Shred will last a bit longer from Death Adder. Sidewinder, Swift Strides is getting more of a rework so that it takes less time for you to get max stacks of it, but it does half as much damage. So I guess you can use... I'll do the same thing pretty much, but you'll actually be able to probably use the benefit of it a bit more than before. So overall, I think Black Mamba is the best one. Then Death Adder. And then Sidewinder. But it's still... I think this is overall buff the Sidewinder, though. Pistol. This weapon... Or I'll just put Molten is getting buffed. Makes sense. This weapon kind of bad because they attack range nerfs on it, but they are reducing it. I honestly think if they could make it minus 0.1 attack range, even no attack range loss, and it'll be viable. But right now, there's no reason to run this weapon over EB. EB is just way too strong right now. They need to fix EB, I think, because it's not even like... Okay, fine. They do, what is it called? Man, I haven't even seen Magnum Boa. I was like, what's a Magnum Boa? God, I couldn't think of it. It's only been used more of recently because of Aya, and that's like the only character. I mean, and Aya's not that popular for pistol right now anyway. It's just EB is a lot better to have in general. Maharaja, who could have guessed it was going to get nerfed? 100% deserved. Great change. This is because of Shoichi running around with Maharaja and doing way too much damage, so that's fair. Rapier skill is being nerfed. Blast. This is like a... If you don't know, Rapier was a nuke that was also a gap closer, and which is kind of insane to have a nuke and a gap closer all on the same ability. And so they're nerfing the amount of AP it scales with. This will like more... I mean, this will impact all Rapier users no matter what. This will impact Adela more because she scales with AP. And you generally see Adela stack AP more than like Kiara, who generally attacks like stacks attack speed. Fiora is more amp right now. There is some like auto attack Fiora as well. And I'd say auto attack Fiora is probably has more AP, or like thinks of AP more than Kiara, just because Kiara does more attack speed. So, but great change. Adele will still nuke you for your whole health bar. Okay, don't think this will be like, oh, Adele is dead. No, you're still gonna die. One Adele rotation. So, dual swords, divines lost 2 AP. Blast. This will fix divines. This will fix DS Jaxie. Woo! No, they're all still strong. This does nothing. Okay. They said... I thought this was going to be the patch where they fixed Divine... the Dual Swords double attack gimmick, but it does not. So, we'll have to wait another patch. I'm not going to change anything. Cerberus gets nerfed by 3 AP. Again, this is like minimal change, but I do agree it was deserved as well. Mahoshi Zhao is being nerfed by its lifesteal. This is because of dual sword, or two-handed sword Jackie, my guess. More, two-handed sword Jackie isn't that popular, but it's also because of two-handed sword Fiora 100%. And also, we're probably a little bit related to Aiden, but Aiden's not that strong right now, so I'd definitely say it's probably because of two-handed sword Fiora. and Jackie. Spear skill is only gonna be max range. I guess they decided to address this because Felix being added. Sure, I guess they want to add a little bit more skill expression to it, so that's okay. Sure, fair. Chess pieces. Okay, let me give my thoughts on this new active or unique passive, Tranquility. What is it? This unique passive will, after resting for 2 or more seconds, you'll get a shield for 45 plus level times 6 for melees and for range 4 times 4.5. I need one question. How long does the shield last? Will this shield last until you're hit again? So if you rest and then you can walk around for like 5-10 minutes until something hits you and then you lose the shield if you get hurt? Or does the shield have a timer? If the shield has a timer, this unique passive is going to suck and no one's going to build covert agent uniform. If this is like, you can rest whenever, get the shield, and then every time you go out of combat, you're just going to rest. I think it's not as good as it sounds. Resting, you have to rest for 2 or more seconds, which if you're going to rest so much, like 2 or more seconds is a lot of time for like wasting. I'd say like wasting, because resting is the only thing in this game that does not give you any form of mastery. Even moving around, there's move mastery, searching boxes, crafting, making food, making SP, attacking animals, using the console, every single thing you do will do mastery except resting. So you're losing on mastery scaling if by resting the proc the shield. So if you want to use the most benefit of the shield, you're going to be pretty much resting after every single animal that you fight, and it doesn't sound that great. And if the shield has a timer on it, it's going to be even worse. And maybe you have the shield when you start the fight, but it's not like you can rest while you're in combat. So you're only going to have the shield once per fight. I think covert currently as it stands is not going to see much play, at least in solos. I don't think it'll be really much in team modes, but team modes I wouldn't even see it much in team modes because team modes does a lot more poking, and so you're not going to be in combat, or you're going to be in combat a lot more in team modes. Rockers is getting nerfed, a little bit surprising, but I think Rockers getting nerfed is related to Adela, to be honest. Nerfed probably due to Adele, but maybe Fiora as well. Fiora also wields Rockers. There's like a bunch of people that kind of wield Rockers. Kathy's a good example that uses Rockers. So Mithril Armor, I think this is actually like a really good change. Excuse me, not Rockers. Mithril Armor was really strong, like it has been strong for a while. And so what they're doing is making it less of like a tank item. Like it still is a tank item, don't get me wrong, but it also has attack speed. So you're gonna basically separate spellcasters from not wanting to wear myth armor anymore and want spellcasters to put on Cabana instead. This also does not have skill damage reduction on it, which is like a pretty big thing. So it's not going to counter mages as well as it was before, I'll say. So yeah, you want to auto attack characters, but I think it's a good change. Mithril Crop is being buffed in compensation of the Mithril Armor changes. Crap. Mr. Mithril Crap. I meant Crop. Buffed due to Myth Armor change. Okay. That's all. Closed Helm is just the green helmet, I believe. Maybe it's the blue one. I could be wrong. It's just getting events nerf. Oh, it's probably the blue helmet, actually. The blue one that turns into Berganet, I think that's what it is. Looting defense, whatever. But Berganet, surprisingly, is actually getting nerfed. Or, I would say, fine, it's more reworked. Buffed defense, but nerfed percentage. Where's percentage amp? So generally the reason why you wear Burgundet is so that you can nuke people. Like, you want to wear it to one rotation people. If you don't want to deal, or if you don't want to one rotation people, you're probably going to wear Crown instead, because it has 11% amp on Crown. So the only difference between Burgundet now and Crown for skill amp is 3%, which is not that much difference. So now it's like, do you want the HP and the bonus defense, or do you want the CDR? Like, if CDR is like a very important stat for you, you're gonna stay on Burgundet. But if you're like, oh, I don't really care as much about the CDR, and I was really only using Burgundet for the percentage amp difference, then you're probably gonna go back to Crown. So I'd say people might use Crown even more because of this, unless they value the CDR, or even the SP cap. Like, if you need a lot of SP, like Emma, and Emma's passive works with SP, your SP cap, you're gonna probably stay in Burgundet. And Sylvia generally wears Burgundet because of the CDR, but also the SP, because she uses a lot of SP. Straight jackets. This is actually a good change. Changed from extra skill damage to percentage, and they're trying to remove extra skill damage from the game. The only things that have extra skill damage on it, like for items, would be, other than weapons, because a lot of weapons still do, would be Scotty and Schrodinger's box, Uchiwa, White Crane fan, and the whatever the poison glove thing is, the arm piece, whatever that thing's called. That's it. So, but they're starting to remove more extra skill damage. Like, they remove glacials, flat amp, or extra skill 2 percentage. Seems like a good change overall, though. I mean, they're so slow. You're 100% still want glacials over straight jackets when you get the chance, but good change. Lunar Embrace being changed is probably because no one really runs Embrace, and it's making it less of a defense choice, but like more balanced between AP and defense, so I would say a good change. Sultan Adone for solos is being buffed by a lot. Like, it's gaining 0.3 movement speed, and for melees, and 0.2 for range. Yeah, this unique actor was really bad. So this is a good change. They might need to increase the... They want to make it not a rat thing, that's the issue. But I think it's only 2 seconds, and if you get hit by anything, or if you use a spell, it cancels. So I'm like, they might need to increase the movement speed on it, or not movement speed, the duration. I don't know if they want to, but yeah, this seems like a good change overall. Team modes as well, they're increasing movement speed, and for team modes, Kundala has defense instead of HP, and it gets a lot more skill amp. But this is only team modes, so yeah. And there's new food. I'm assuming this is for the April Fool's event that's going on right now. So yeah, it's just for April Fool's. I don't think it's gonna stick around for a little while. Hidden Maidens are being reworked. This is less damage, but you get more. Okay. Team modes, there's a bunch of team modes thing. Tia being buffed, not a surprise. Lennox being buffed, again, not a surprise. A lot of people think Lennox would be good in team modes, but because of what they've done to her Q, she's not that good. So they're gonna buff her. Makes sense. She's already not doing a good spot right now either. Rosie buffed, Rio buffed, Bianca nerfed. What a surprise. Bianca deserved nerfs for the Sua buff. Makes sense because they nerfed her. Della nerf in team modes plus. Great change. They buffed her last patch and I was like, why? Like, Adela is so strong in team modes. Why would you buff her? She's like the pinnacle of team modes. So I'm just glad. Okay, Adriana buffed by a lot. Holy, 90 to 97% damage in duos. That's a lot of buff. That's a big buff. Aiden buff, Johan nerfed actually. That's not a surprise. If you looked at the leaderboard for duos and squads, you will see Johan at the top right now for duos, and he's top. He's really good for you. I mean, he's a team modes character, so you're gonna expect him to be good. So they are nerfing him. William buffed. Yuki is being nerfed in duos, buffed squads for two-handed. Dual swords being nerfed in both modes. Ava nerfed at 11, nerfed. What a surprise. Ava 11 nerfed also. Crab Brave nerfed in team modes. Okay. Heart buff, like these are characters aren't used. Kiara and squads being buffed. Okay, makes sense. Like they don't change that. Okay, game mode improvements. Bots will no longer carry myth string. That's like really big because bots not carrying myth armor, myth string is really good. Not carrying good change since Glove and Tafa could make rare resource weapons out of bot out of myth string. So that's why they're doing it, if you didn't know that. Health mastery increase displayed properly when using SP like craft consumables. Okay, reset character practice mode, no longer extra buff stack. Fine. Characters at max level cap now properly gain skill points. Okay. Laura and improvements. The effective teaching now matches its cast direction. Okay. Q no longer sometimes fails to enhance itself. Leon's Campbell assumption no longer incorrectly increases under certain circumstances. Shuichi's risky business no longer spawns dagger upon being blocked by temporal refraction. So they're fixing some of like the things that temporal refraction. There's some weird things that it does. I think you still get a fear. I could be wrong. I thought you would still get a fear stack as an example from Hedgen. Maybe it's not a thing anymore, or I completely misremember that. But sometimes like the add-ons would still be added even if you got blocked by temporal refraction. Ava add an effect to reveal, or add an effect to enemies revealed by Amethyst Flow. Interesting. I guess you'll know if you're being seen by Ava now. I think that's a good change. Kathy's on her knife and suture second hit are activated upon being blocked by temporal refraction. Again, another temporal refraction thing. Felix added missing mechanic to tooltips for Crescent Wave is E, about getting spear weaving stacks for evading attacks. And crossbow D skill indicator's been fixed to match its actual range, which I think people have asked for. Lobby improvements, successfully find teammates will no longer start activation cancel pop-up. ER mission in progress now properly accounted when defeating a revived enemy in a restricted zone. Searching for an invalid name will now show text instead of pop-up. Current game mode now is like team modes. Party now select the hide name option. Custom modes doing so will hide nickname where all users are. They're doing these changes for tournaments specifically. I think these are great tournament changes as well. Replay and server screen, you can now hide your mouse cursor by using short key, which is also like really good because you'd have your mouse kind of randomly on the screen, generally like the corner of the screen, and it's a little bit awkward. And the Plague Doctor channel currently says it's an epic skin, but it won't be changed until the end of the month. Okay, so that's all of 0.55's patch. My overall thoughts on the patch is they know that certain characters are really strong right now, but many of these characters didn't get real changes. What I mean by real changes is that the nerfs they received didn't actually fix the character at all, and they'll be played the exact same thing and do the exact same thing they've been doing this patch. The only exception, the exception to this is Shoichi got hit quite hard, Selene actually got nerfed, and 11. Every other character I mean, even gonna say the rapier characters, all three of them. Even though rapier I don't think is as good as two-handed right now. They're still gonna be doing the same thing, and so I'm glad they realized what characters are strong, because they said like they were addressing divine dual swords. They got myth armor nerfed. They did a bunch of like good changes, like I said. Like Cerberus nerfed, Maharaja nerfed, Camilo got a slight nerf. They realized Jackie's also strong. Levin got nerfed, deserved. They're buffing the characters that aren't that strong. Isol, Adriana, Alex got nerfed. Actually, I should say Alex in here too. So yeah, these are like good changes, but oops, how's that? But okay, they missed. Okay, but they missed the mark on actual balance changes to top tiers specifically. I was not saying the low tiers, because I think they actually nailed the hit the nail on the coffin for the low tiers, but not for the top tiers at all. And the quality of life changes were great. Honestly, like those were like decent changes for quality of life. Whatever, we're not gonna, we can't find it. When I say they missed the mark in actual balance for top teams, I'm saying Adela, I'm saying Sylvia, or even like Lead Island really didn't get changed. Like they nerfed Cerberus, but Glove is honestly just as strong, I think. Or maybe not just as strong, but it's still quite strong. I can pull up the list I made. Let me see. Oh yeah, Kiara. Kathy wasn't nerfed really. I'll say even Camilo, Jackie, and like some specific items. I'm gonna say specific items. The two that stand out the most for me are Elysian Halo and Death Rune. Death Rune is the meteorite shuriken. The hex on it's way too strong. And so these are like the main things for me that kind of stand out as not really being changed like majorly. Like Adela got rapier skill. Sylvia, honestly nothing really happened to Sylvia this patch. Heart, nothing really stand out for Heart. Leah Lynn on Nunchuck lost 3 AP on Cerberus. Kiara, I guess rapier skill if you count that. Kathy, Rocker's jacket. That's an amp drone. Camilo, I guess 4 AP if he's still in Divine Dual Swords. Jackie got 0.1 off her Omni Siphon and 2 AP off of Divines if she's running that. So these are the main things that didn't get really balanced at all. They got some minor nerfs, but are they going to really do much? No, they really aren't going to change anything. I think, so yeah, I wish they actually did some more real changes for these patch. We'll just have to deal 2 more weeks with these characters kind of running rampant on Lumia Island. This is just me, I wish they also did something about Aya. Her stats are starting to get pretty good in top tiers, but she's just, I wish they fixed her for like, her playstyle is not interactive at all. She basically stat checks people like how old Fiora did. I just wish they fixed something or they changed her some way. It's just not fun to fight against Aya because I think she's also really dumb. And yeah, I'm gonna announce it in this video as well that I am gonna be posting a video every single day in April. It's been 1 year, well, it will be in April in a few days, since I uploaded my first YouTube video. It has like a 1-year anniversary event, I'd say, for my channel. I'm gonna be doing a video per day, so you'll get 30. I'll have a schedule. They'll be posted on the community channel and on my Twitter on what type of videos will be coming out each day. It's not gonna be the same thing. A lot of character guides are gonna come out. We're gonna get some patch notes videos. Gonna get some beginner guides and some duo comp build guides as well. But yeah, if you like this type of video, please give it a like. It lets me know if you like these types of videos. And if you like Charles Turn as much as I do, consider subscribing. I hope to see you in the next video.